Radiant team ban.
What's cracking, ladies and gentlemen? 49 coming at you with another community shoutcast. This time we're just going to be casting just scrims of the up-and-coming esports team Trident. Of course, one of their players, Mule, used to be a player, still is a player down in Dunedin, but he has been picked up by a sponsored team, so I feel like I should get a little bit of practice in, show one of my former teammates some love. Trident and Standards, I believe one of their players looks like they're missing their other support player, Gatekeeper, so no phase, no kill, 7.2. Filling in his shoes, of course led by their captain, Fairrider. And it looks like this is just I believe they both queued team matchmaking at the same time to make sure that they'd queue against each other. Unfortunately, I haven't caught the name of the other team, but I'm assuming this is them and not just another pub team. Needless to say, they have banned out Terrorblade as well as Nagasari. Very interesting to see that Terrorblade still consistently considered to be a phase 1 ban. A lot of teams have been experimenting with counters to the Terrorblade, including heroes such as the Zeus, who's able to shut him down very early on, since Terrorblade's biggest weakness is because he's so efficient at farming. Most teams tend to fight 4v5, at least for the first 10-15 minutes or so, while he's picking up his first few items. Once Terrorblade starts to come online with the match style, that's when you want to really start grouping up and fighting as 5. Especially so long as you fight around the Metamorph cooldown, you can do a huge amount of work in these engagements. Zeus shuts that down hard, since if Terrorblade enters an engagement with Zeus there, Zeus can pretty much instantly pop him at the start of the fight. Using the QW into the Thunder God's Wrath combo, you always want to Q first in static field. Takes a percentage of their max HP, so that way you maximize the damage output from your passive. You have enough damage capacity to be able to instantly burst down the Terrorblade, preventing him from using that Sunder. So it means the Terrorblade can't show up in any of these early teamfight engagements, which means that the rest of his team is going to get butchered by the Zeus. So it means that your team is able to accumulate a massive advantage, especially with your supports and your other core players being able to pick up their key items. And then by the time Terrorblade comes online, it's usually too late. Since their team is so heavily behind by constantly being dragged into these engagements against the Zeus, it's difficult for them to recover. Terrorblade has received another nerf, an 8-3, with the fact that illusions now deal 25% less damage to towers, and since Terrorblade, one of his biggest strengths was his ability to split push and consistently apply pressure across the map, even if he isn't directly present. The blow does hit him quite hard, as his illusions do take a lot more damage now, I believe it's 465%. Looks like Trident and Standards banning out the Necrophos as well as Invoker. Invoker, very curious. First stage ban. He's usually considered to be a second stage ban if he is banned at all. Although that being said, Invoker has been seeing a lot more playtime as teams are starting to experiment around back with the Quas Wex Invoker. Quas Exiled Invoker took the scene by storm for the past 3 or 4 patches, just due to the fact that Quas Wex Invoker too difficult to really maintain a lane advantage. The Quas Wex Invoker lacks any real farming mechanism. And his primary strength is team fight, and teams have learned to work around the Tornado EMP combination by picking up more Arcane, as well as by shutting down lane. So it looks like we've got a Skywrath Mage as well as a Wind Ranger pickup coming in from Trident. Well, over from the pub team, we've got the Ember Spirit as well as the Disruptor. Very curious duo. Disruptor could actually be picked up as to deny the enemy team from picking up the Disruptor themselves, as Disruptor is a fantastic counter pick to the Ember Spirit. And when you see Ember Spirit throwing out the Slate of Fist and he leaves that remnant behind, you walk up, drop the Static Storm, drop the Kinetic Field, Ember Spirit suddenly silenced, locked in place, dead fish in the water. Phantom Assassin ban coming in from Trident and Standards. Phantom Assassin picked up in this scenario most likely would be run potentially as a mid hero, with Ember Spirit being the safe lane farmer, as Phantom Assassin in the mid lane can exert a huge amount of pressure across the game. This is of course the hero that Mule made famous back in his days in Dunedin as well as in the UGC League. I believe he's currently the 19th highest ranked Phantom Assassin player according to Dotabuff, so a very experienced player. He's most likely going to be picking up the Wind Ranger as the offlane player for Team Trident. But the Slark ban as well as the Faceless Void ban is the 2 phase 2 bans coming out from the pub team. Faceless Void, he has been hit quite heavily with the nerf bat. I believe he's been nerfed 4 times in quick concession.
5 seconds.
So no longer the potent force that he used to be. Still picked up from time to time. Nowadays he's exclusively picked up as a 1-position hard carry, due to the fact that his role as an offlaner or as a mid hero is completely mitigated just because it's so much less efficient than it used to be. Since the offlane Void revolved entirely around 2 factors. A, the fact that Chronosphere sets up the rest of your team, so you've got the Faceless Void Skywrath Mage combination, or maybe even something along the lines of the Faceless Void Quas Exiled Invoker Sunstriking across the map, or something like a Mirana. Nowadays, Chronosphere, the cooldown is dramatically higher. I believe they've actually nerfed it to 100 seconds at level 120 seconds at level 1. No, it used to be 120, now 130 seconds at level 1 to dramatically increase the cooldown. It means that he's got a much longer window for the enemy team to exploit when he doesn't have that Chronosphere available. It no longer disables passives, so heroes like the Phantom Assassin can laugh at your face when you chrono them, so even though you've frozen them in time, they still can blow you and evade you. So So the Faceless Void, much less efficient in the offlane or in the mid lane, unless of course if you're exceptionally skilled at being able to get those pickoffs, but even then, with the 8-3 nerfs, now wards, such as the Death Ward or the Shadow Shaman Mass Serpent wards, no longer work inside the Chronosphere. So it means that Faceless Void, the only way to make good use of him is in that one position role where you get him a lot of farm very quickly, and you rely on his extremely powerful early game teamfighting capacity compared to a lot of other carries. Since Void, in comparison to, say, the Terrorblade, he could fight 5v5 very early on. Every single time you got the Chrono, sole objective of Void, get Chrono on the enemy hero, kill enemy hero into Chrono, and you should be Gucci just because the enemy team, forced to fight 4v5 against the pissed off Void with the Master Band is activated, most likely going to be forced to try to disengage, or if they do stand their ground, they're going to be taking more casualties than they'd like, because you always have that Alpha Strike advantage of being able to hit them very hard first. Vengeful Spirit pick coming in from Trident. Venge as well as the Skywrath Mage are the two heroes that have subtle synergy because the Skywrath Mage sets up for the Venge, like the gentleman he is, using the concussive shot to make sure that Venge, with a low mobility, I believe it used to be 290, it has been buffed. It might have actually been buffed in the latest patch, with the magic missile being 500, so Venge's Will Spirit's biggest weakness, of course, is a very low mobility and a low initiation range. Skywrath, the 1600 range concussive shot, sets it up for the Venge, so Venge can close the distance, then stun you in the face with that magic missile, follow him with the Howl. These two heroes, outside of that, lack synergy because Vengeful Spirit, the majority of the damage is going to be coming in from physical right-click damage, since most Venge and the competitive scene tend to max out the Howl of Terror. While Skywrath Mage, you usually want to pick up another support hero with magic damage, such as the Ogre, so you could capitalize on the fact that Ancient Seal, coming from the Skywrath Mage, does give you ludicrous amounts of damage. But that being said, still very potent support duo, just because Venge, she acts as a get out of jail free card for your carry if they ever happen to get initiated upon, say if the enemy team has a pesky Batrider, all they have to do is swap enemy teams now in a bad situation, because if they do kill the Venge, you're going to be giving them the negative Vengeance aura, so it can give your team that slight edge in the team fight. You do have a Witch Doctor as well as a Clockwork pickup coming out from the boys on the Radiant side. Clockwork, very powerful offlane hero, has been seeing a fair amount of play as far as the competitive scene is concerned. He has been seeing a little bit of resurgence just due to the fact that he peaks very early on. The instant he hits level 6, unlike a lot of other offlane heroes such as a Centaur or a Tide, who usually need a Blink Dagger, Clockwork, his face is the Blink Dagger. He's able to hook shot into you. He doesn't need no items to help him initiate, so that gives him a huge advantage over these other greedier offlaners. And while he isn't as powerful in the late game, in about 30-minute mark, Clockwork starts to taper off just because the enemy support starts to pick up 4-staffs. You have such a huge impact early on that you can usually leverage that to equate to a lot of towers, to a lot of early one team fights, because you do have a significant initiation advantage with Clockwork, not only due to the fact that he's usually going to be the one initiating, but due to the fact that you have a lot of intelligence with the constant missile spam coming up from him. We do have the anti-mage ban coming in from Trident, so they're banning up heroes only in the core position role. So the Invoker, he's the only, and Invoker and the PA are the only two that can really be run successfully in the mid lane. Necrophos from time to time is occasionally run in the mid lane, but these heroes tend to excel in the safe lane role. So Necrophos, Dusa, as well as the Anti-Mage, very late game heroes that might be able to go toe to toe against the Spectre. Necrophos, of course, very potent in the ultra late game, just due to the fact that you can win a game just off the Reacher side to stable and buyback. While over on the Radiant side, they've banned out Death Prophet. So Death Prophet used to be considered first stage pickle ban. If you didn't pickle ban her, the other team would get a significant advantage. So both the Pandarian Brewmaster and the Death Prophet, who used to be picked and banned almost exclusively in the first picking stage, as well as the first banning stage, no longer that high a priority, just due to the fact that both these heroes, very efficient, well they used to be, now their efficiency's been quite heavily nerfed. Death Prophet, the exorcism cooldown, being jacked up a huge amount, so now it's 145 seconds. I believe that might have been actually increased in the latest patch. While Pandarian Brewmaster, his base armor's been reduced by 2, so it makes him much less powerful in the laning stage. Also does, I believe they nerfed the snare on the Dragon Clap by about a second or 2, so no longer as effective in the laning stage of him being able to constantly zone you out. This is of course the biggest threat again when you're playing against Pandarian Brewmaster, is if you ever get a little bit too close to the Drunken Clap, you're going to be eating an awful lot of damage, because you also have to account for the follow-up crit from the Drunken Brawler that you're now guaranteed to get if you're not attacking anything for a few seconds. The Radiant side really delivering, they've got a lot more reserve time than the boys in Trident, so they have to consider a mid-hero that could give them a lot of tempo. They're not 100% certain on who it is going to be in the mid lane coming in from the boys in Trident, as Wind Ranger very powerful in the mid lane, Kunkka as well, just because you have a Spectre in this lineup, most likely going to be Wind Ranger in the off lane and Kunkka in the mid lane. Kunkka has received quite a significant rework as far as his X marks the spot is concerned. It used to be that the duration would increase with additional points, as well as the fact that the cast range is a lot lower now in 8-3, so it meant that mid lane Conquer, you could go for the conventional build, which is 2 points in the X, that's just to set up the torrent, or you could go for a much more unconventional build, which is just 3 points in X, and that's to ensure that you've got the 3 seconds as well as the initiation range to set up for your torrent as well as your ghost boat. So you X them, you throw out your ghost ship immediately, then you go in for the torrent, and we've got a Pudge pickup. So Pudge received quite a significant buff as far as 8-3 is concerned. His hook is now 1000 range at level 1 compared to 700. And so it gives him a dramatic advantage, since Pudge's biggest weakness traditionally is the fact that he needed to wait until level 7 before he could really be effective as a ganking hero, just due to the fact that the limited range on the meat hook really hindered his effectiveness early on. Of course, the damage still does go up dramatically, since it does do pure damage. I believe it goes up from 90 to 360, but the range increase can be quite critical, so Pudge can even be experimented upon as a hero in an offlane role or even in a support position role, although in this case not going to be the case, as you've got Disruptor and Witch Doctor who are going to be filling in the 5 and the 4 respectively. Witch Doctor will almost always take 4 priority due to the fact that his Death Ward effectively turns him to another core hero as far as damage output's concerned. If he's able to get that Aghanim Scepter in a reasonable time frame, and if you've got another hero like Clockwork or the Disruptor who can lock them in place, the Death Ward can pretty much decimate the enemy team single-handedly. We do have a disconnect coming in from Fear Rider, their captain. Looks like he's just having some internet issues. No pause coming up from Trident, so they're not too worried yet. Over on the Radiant side, we've got Snaggle. Going to be the Ember Spirit. I'm assuming the Disruptors are going to pull him some tangos because he's starting with that 4-man shield. So Snaggle currently rotating as 5.
This one's in the
Out the front, we've got on the Disruptor and that 5 position role. Disruptor tends to be a lot less item dependent than other supports, of course. With the buff to the Aghanim Scepter, ideally you want him to eventually farm that up. But because you've got a Witch Doctor as well, Witch Doctor's going to be tends to be a lot more important, just because of the drastic amount of damage output that he could do on his own. Alistair Cookie going to be what I presume the offline Clockwork. We've got Fleep as the Witch Doctor in the 4 position role. Wards already available on him, and I never play Earth Spirit as the Pudge. Most likely going to be the mid lane. Over in the Boys and Trident, we've got Mule, who's resuming his role as the offline Wind Ranger. Used to be the mid player for a lot of teams. Now he's switched over to the offlane role. He has been spamming Wind Ranger, and he's a player that tends to spam a single hero until he gets them down cold. Venadamon going to be the 1 position Spectre, setting with a fair amount of tangos as well as the Stout Shield just to further increase his survivability. So very confident in his ability to last hit. Since Spectre, excellent animation but god awful damage. Fear Rider, that captain, looks like we've fought 2 couriers. So he's going back and forth, realizing his mistake, trying to hide it. He can't really hide any of the couriers, I suppose. Now it means they can bottle curl. And no phase, no kill, 7.2, going to be the 5 as the Vengeful Spirit. Since Venge, although that being said, Venge can actually be the 4, Sky's a much more effective 5 just because he actually needs 0 items, at most Arcane Boots. It's going to give him everything he needs. We could be seeing a potential gank attempts, no phase, no kill. Pings are coming out, they are aware that they are grouped up as 5 and Fleet. Going to be eating a few cheeky right clicks from Fear Rider. Of course, one of the biggest changes to 8-3 is the fact that as far as the mid lane's concerned, the bounty rune. So if you play a mid hero that conventionally rushes the bottle, going for runes could actually be a lot more important than going for the creep block. Venadamon, locked in place with the cogs as Alistair Cookie, going ham on him. Snaggle with the flame guard should be able to ensure first blood. He is able to secure it with that dot damage, and Trident off to a bit of a rocky start. Looks like Mule was able to pick up the Valley rune in the bottom lane, so that gives him a half a level advantage. And Jelly Sickle going to be the mid lane Kunkka. It will be interesting to see how he leverages the Kunkka rework to the X marks. Some people consider it to be a bit of a nerf because it means that the decreased cast range means you have to invest more points into it, as well as the fact that you now have to manually remember to be able to cast the X marks to pull them back in time. Whereas before, you just put 2 points in and it guarantees that you get the X marks. You X marks and you instantly torrent. No thinking really required. Nowadays you have to actually be a little more cautious with the timing. But assuming you're a very experienced Kunkka player, shouldn't be too much of an issue. We do have a dual mid, so Fleet sticking around the mid lane for a little bit longer, never mind. Just want to apply a bit of harassment. He is rotating to the bot lane. So Jelly Sickle should be having a fairly easy time against a Pudge, just due to the fact that Titan's biggest advantage is that Tidebringer. It doesn't trigger on denies, and so it gives you free 15 damage for you to be able to technically deny against. And I never play Earth Spirit, left on the old turret. Throws out the hook. Might actually be another kill on Jelly Sickle, but Jelly Sickle keeps himself alive for now. So good awareness from him, just barely able to leg himself out to safety. Kunkka's other weakness, strength is the fact that he's very durable. We do actually have a kill attempt in bottom lane, so looks like Snaggle can pick up one kill, so he's off to a great start. 2 kills already on him. If we have a look at net worth, already leading the scoreboards, just 800. Jelly Sickle, hovering around, hiding in the tree line to make sure that I never play Earth Spirit can go in for that cheeky fishing hook. Just trying to leech EXP for now. Kunkka, a fairly effective bottle carrier, just because he is going to be spamming out the torrent in the laning stage. Jellysickle at the moment will be interesting to see if he chooses even to completely forego points in the X-Master. That looks like what he's going to be doing for now. So 2 points in the Tidebringer to give him a much easier laning stage. It's a cooldown reduction as well as the increased damage, especially on denies. Much like how Templar Assassin wins a lot of matchups, especially against melee heroes. You just rely on the increase base damage you get from the refraction, or in this case from the Tidebringer, to be able to out-deny the enemy. Hook does come in though from an in-play Earthspirit. Jellysickle could be taking a dab. Torrent's there, it's not going to be enough. I never play Earthspirit, very patient, really relishing in the rework, or rather the buff to the meat hook. Mule being glimpsed back, as well as Connect Field being used. Snaggle does have Searing Chains available, does catch up Mule. Mule should be taking a quick death there. Paralyzing cast flies over his body, and it looks like out the front, fighting every card. Looks like he's going to be able to pick up another kill against the offlaner Alistair Cookie in the meanwhile. 2.5, doing not too shabby. We've got a very efficient double pull coming in from no phase, no kill, as well as Fear Rider. So Alistair Cookie, going to be playing it safe. That being said, the support's actually the same level, at a higher level than you. You're putting yourself in a very dire situation. One of the biggest differences between a lot of experienced teams compared to much more mid-range teams, or rather tier 1 teams and tier 2 teams, is the fact that the supports are a lot more efficient in what they're doing. If you're able to find a lot of farm in your supports without taking farm away from your cores and still shutting down the enemy offlaner, you're going to be putting yourself in a much better position come the mid game, because you're going to be able to be the playmaker for your team. So should your off lane or your mid lane suffer, they're not the ones able to set up and control the tempo. You can now rely on your supports to make those plays for you. That's the reason why teams like Secret is so effective, is because Puppy on that Mirana, very efficient. If he's not going in for those arrows, he's able to find farm elsewhere. Fleet eats the magic missile, Torrent's going to fly through as well. He should be taking a death, but that being said, Hook comes in on Jellysickle. Now eating a few tower shit, but he's going to stand his ground against Earthspirit. Or never play Earthspirit and smacks him down with that sword. Looks like he's going to completely forego the X mark, so we're going to be seeing a very old school Dota 1 era Kunkka build, where you don't go for the points in X, you just rely on pure skill. You land those torrents, so we'll see how it pays off from. The advantage, of course, is it gives you fantastic laning stage, just because you've got the Tidebringer to rely upon, but of course the drawback to this, and the reason why you usually see this in pub games, is you're leaving things to chance. You have to land the torrent in order for it to be effective. If you don't land the torrent, you've got very little killing power. And you always want to take out any pop potential for human error out of the equation. Mule actually could have continued to go in for the kill attempt there, just because you've got the 2.6k range power shot. Of course, one of the nerfs to the power shot is the fact that before you could actually wait till 0.7 seconds and then release, and it will deal the full amount of damage. Now you have to actually wait for the full 1 second duration. Of course, the advantage, I guess, is the fact that now you've got 1000 wind range, so it gives Wind Ranger an area of influence of 2.6. Fleet maybe looking to go for a kill attempt there. He wanted to cast the range creep because it would have bounced back and hit the Kunkka. Hesitated a little bit, not able to find the kill. And Alistair Cookie, level 4 now. Going to be maxing on that battery assault. It's a very standard build order on the Clockwork Goblin. Battery assault, of course, a no-brainer. If you catch a hero in the cogs, especially a support like Skywrath Mage, is actually very far forward. So playing incredibly ballsy, just because he knows that he's got support potentially waiting for him. Venadamon looks like he's going to be going for the Vanguard first before picking up the Radiance. Crimson Guard's a potential item pickup for the Spectre, but of course the reason why a lot of players don't go for it is it doesn't give you enough benefit for it to really be worthwhile. You usually want to go for the Radiance ASAP. Radiance tends to be the core pickup for the Spectre because it accelerates everything you do. It helps you farm, helps you team fight, because it means that all you have to do is press R, and the fact that you've got Desolate proccing on the supports as well as the Radiance, he's actually dropping his Quelling Blade to control his attack damage. So this is something that Eternal Envy often mentions. You want to keep your attack damage, I believe 56 or 57 is the key mark. Mule, they call it the smoke rotation. Glimpse being used as well as Connect Fields. This time he's able to get out of the Connect Field range. Just walking through Fleet. Playing very ballsy with the Slate of Fist Searing Chain combination is there. Mule should be taking a death there. Fleet, not even needed. It looks like Snaggle picks up one more right click. Phase Boot's now available, so very aggressive build coming in from Fleet, from Snaggle. He's actually choosing the max out Searing Chain, so not going for the Flame Guard build. While I say that, never play Earthspirit being jumped on. The team goes in for a kill attempt from Jellysickle, but the Ghost Boat should be there. Jellysickle sipping on rum, able to catch that kill. Looks like Theorizer took it from him. Bounty Rune's going to be bottled up by him though. No phase, no kill. Level 4, so fairly high level on these supports, all things considered. As it looks like while the Radiant side, they do have the advantage in terms of kills, in terms of overall efficiency, because the supports have a lot more experience, a lot more farm. That could be the deciding factor once the game moves into the mid stage. Fleet can give you a fair amount of space in the mid lane just because he has that haste rune, so he doesn't have to worry about getting hit by that torrent. Choosing to go for max Voodoo Restoration, very interesting build. The first point in Voodoo Restoration tends to be the most efficient, because past that you're going to be expending a huge chunk of mana, but of course when you consider the fact that Witch Doctor, he's actually not using most of his mana pools, since his only other ability is going to be the Cask. When you go for the Voodoo Restoration build, you usually don't go for any points of Maledict. And so you usually see Cask prioritized before Voodoo Restoration, but that being said, the second point in the Voodoo Restoration, especially early on, gives you a ridiculous amount of survivability. It's Witch Doctor's biggest weakness. It's despite hitting incredibly hard, he's got very low armor, he's incredibly fragile. Alistair Cookie, getting a few cheeky right clicks, hogs preemptively to prevent Venadamon from jumping him. Venadamon opted to go for 2 points in Desolate and 2 in Dispersion. You usually see as a straight up max Desolate build that tends to be the most efficient Spectre build. While I say that, Mule is going to be taking a death, no phase, no kill, the cast bounces are there, and Fleet ensuring that he can't juke him out. Thunderstrike's also there to prevent him from juking the tree line. And Snaggle found himself another kill. Snaggle off to a fantastic start. He's going to be going for a straight Battle Fury Rush, and not even bothering to go for phase. Alistair Cookie, he does have cogs available, he's going to try to tempt him a bit further towards the tower before he drops those cogs. Just because he knows that they're not going to be playing too ballsy otherwise. Never play Earth Spirit. Looking fairly good, all things considered, despite the fact he's taking those 2 deaths. He's going to be picking up his level 7 very shortly, and once that comes online, he can rotate, create a lot of space for the rest of his team. So much like the same capacity that Techies performs in a lot of pub games, because Techies drags the game out to the later stages, he creates a huge amount of space for your 1 position to be able to sit there and farm. Pudge, similar effect, assuming the Pudge gets off to a good start, just because the Pudge is constantly going to be roaming and ganking. Or I guess a much better analogy would be, or comparison would be to the Night Stalkers, so the heroes that are going to be rotating around once they hit a specific peak, and that's going to create a lot of space for your team because it forces the enemy team to clump, to have to constantly have something near them, decreases their efficiency of their farm. Although, that being said, Trident, despite being quite far behind in terms of kills, they are still leading in terms of last hits. So if we have a look at net worth, in terms of experience, only a very slight 250 experience lead to the Radiant side, despite all the kills going to their hands. While in terms of, for gold, 250 roughly, gold going to the hands of Trident. So much like Cloud9, lose lane, win game seems to be the aim coming from them. While the boys on the Radiant side, never play Earth Spirit, still kind of just holding on to the mid lane for now. Probably going to be looking to wait until he picks up the Shadow before he really starts ganking. Maybe he even wants to wait to pick up the Trample boost as well to further increase his rotating efficiency, but looks like Jellysickle is jumping in on Snaggle. They have to find a kill on him. Torrent isn't going to be in the land, however. Venadamon, he's haunted in reality in, Power Shot flies through, and Jellysickle, I guess he shot him, since his gun's technically a bayonet, since his sword's technically a bayonet, so it also has a gun attached. At one point he's able to execute him. We now have the rotation coming in from a Never Play Earth Spirit. Might be able to scout out. If you catch his Fear Rider, it should be almost instantly possible. Mule, he gets instantly killed by that meat hook. The 360 cooldown just cuts him in half, as the Glimpse is also there to set it up for him. So out the front fighting every card. Alistair Cookie. Torrent's going to be landing his walls to Ghost Shift. That should be enough to be able to bring down Alistair Cookie. With Coco Rum debuff is down there, providing that extra buff of survivability for the rest of his team. They clean up 2 for 1. Never Play Earth Spirit going in on Jellysickle. Nomming on him. Snaggle comes in, catching on no phase, no kill. He's going to need a sacrificial land. And Jellysickle, he just legs it. Mule now comes in, throws in the shackle, unfortunately doesn't latch. Off to a very poor start. He does get hooked in as well. The Glimpse isn't available, but the Thunderstrike should be there to prevent him from juking. Snaggle can choose to commit to this. He does, he's able to find it. He picks himself up a double kill. The biggest advantage, of course, of Disruptor is that Thunderstrike. You cannot juke while it's on you just because it's going to reveal your position every few seconds. We do have a disconnect coming in, so we've got some internet issues coming in from the boys at Trident. Have a look at that fight recap. Fairly huge gold swing going to their hands, but as far as experience is concerned, not too far off, since they were able to at least trade, and when of course you're behind, trading always tends to work out in your favor, so long as you don't lose an objective. Venadamon, going for a very interesting split build on the Spectre, really disagreeing with this. You usually see Spectre maxing out Desolate, or maxing out the Spectral Dagger. Either build tends to be the norm, since the rationalization by maxing out Desolate is it gives you a lot more damage. It means you could fight a lot earlier on. The new school build for the Spectre, as of 6.82, is you now go Treads into the Urn of Shadows, and Urn basically does everything the Vanguard does. It provides you a bit more survivability, gives you a lot of sustain, since you're always going to be engaging in these kills, so you're going to be having your Urn of Shadows constantly topped up. And it gives you a fantastic amount of ganking potential, because you've got the pure damage coming in from the Urn to tick people down. If you max out Desolate, you're going to be hitting incredibly hard, so every time you haunt into a fight, the support's going to be forced back. Fleet, he's going to eat 3-4 right clicks and going to be about half HP, since Desolate, of course, pure damage. Doesn't really give a damn about the fact that it's illusion. Still will chunk you. Speaking of chunking, no phase, no kill. Caught between a clockwork and a pudge. Actually able to keep himself alive for now. The high mobility of the Vengeful Spirit, who would have thought it, but Alistair Cookie got them down. And your bounce is serious coming in. It's a little bit of smackdown coming in from both teams. I believe they do know each other since they were meant to organise a scrim in a proper lobby, but they decided instead to farm some MMR. So I believe they both agreed to go into team matchmaking at the same time. Mule, the biggest weakness of the offlane Wind Ranger is she's incredibly greedy, and until she finds those items and finds that the experience, she's not as effective as a lot of other offlaners. So in contrast to Clockwork, all he needs is level 6 and boots, and he's good to go. Wind Ranger, you usually want a big item, so Wind Ranger, the core position role, you tend to see, well, the old school build used to be the Orchid of Levels Rush, much like the Crossflex Invoker. Nowadays, you see the S4 build, which is treads into bottle into the Maelstrom, and then you want to pick up the Aghanim Scepter that maximizes your DPS. Also can go for the old school utility VDOS style Wind Ranger. While I say that, Snaggle, this Explode is going to be used, not going to be enough for the hook. The Shackle Shot's going to be there, Vanadamon cuts him down. But we've got supports rotating in. Reality actually comes on now. Deathblow being used to zone out Mule. Wind Ranger to keep himself alive for now. Fleet locks him in place, but Vanadamon get hooked in by Neverplay Earthbreak. He's going to be taking a death there, no phase, no kill. Hook shot and cut down by Alistair Cookie. Snaggle with a charge against the captain, the fair rider. He's going to go down with the rest of his ship. Speaking of which, Kunkka, Jelly Sickle, not even there. But speaking of going down with the rest of his ship, he is going to be going for the attacker build to the Battle Fury, most likely into the Blink Dagger. One of the nice things, of course, with the buff to the X-Mark, or the rework to the X-Mark, is the fact that the return no longer costs mana before it used to cost 50. And that's quite a significant amount when considered Kunkka's abysmal mana pool. The nice thing about the attacker Kunkka build is it gives you the highest damage potential, gives you a massive amount of split pushing capacity, and it does help you transition to the late game, which is where Kunkka traditionally stays off, unless he's extremely farmed. The weakness, of course, of going for this Battle Fury first build, is it doesn't really give you too much teamfight unless you're able to land a fantastic ghost ship. Since Kunkka, despite having a fair amount of HP, very low armor, reasonable mobility, so he's not really going to be getting too many hits in. You usually want to get one huge hit in as a Kunkka, since you've got that Tidebringer to amplify that crit, as opposed to getting lots of little hits in. And so the Battle Fury helps mitigate that weakness somewhat, and then you usually want to go for something along the lines of a Daedalus. Once you've picked up Blink Dagger tends to be core in the attacker Kunkka build, because it lets you farm from a distance safely, it lets you slow siege, since you X-Mark yourself, wait until it's about to wear off, blink in, throw in a cheeky right click, and you instantly get pulled back, even if you're stunned. And so it lets you slow siege, especially if you have the Daedalus and you try to push high ground. You happen to get a crit against the enemy team, you're now in a good position for your team to initiate because they're at about half HP, or you might even instantly outright kill the supports if you get farmed enough and reach that point of critical mass. Mule. The nice thing about Wind Ranger, especially the fact that the power shot's been buffed, is it gives you exceptional farming capacity. You can now farm 2 camps at once if you power shot from there right across to there, or in this case from there to there. It's the rating side of being so generous in stacking up these camps. The fact that Trident are able to capitalize and steal them, huge tempo swing go into their hands, since not only are you getting gold for yourself, you're taking it away from the enemy supports, who spent a good chunk of time constantly stacking it before there's carry. Jelly Sickle leading the charge, he does have that battle through, so 14.5 minute battle theory on the Kunkka. Not too shabby, Snaggle. Hookshot line through, not going to be enough though. He does get pulled back, so even though he's got the ancient seal on him, Fleet gonna eat that Mystic Flare, is able to walk out in time, he is stunned, played by no face, no kill, Ghost Ship completely whiffs, but the Coco run buff is there. Deathwad, terrorizing Mule, Jelly Sickle's gonna be taking a death there, Swap isn't gonna be enough, and Hook coming in for the no face, no kill, he's gonna get brought to the ground. Fear Rider Vanadamon also rarely into this party, he shows up a little bit late, but he says, hey boys, I bought some Jaeger, gets a kill on Pudge, Static Storm brings down Mule. So out the front, finding every kind, off to a fantastic start this game. Glimpses now coming out, Vanadamon caught between the rock as well as the Clockwork Goblin. Now cogged in place and show he can't go for the kill attempt with Snaggle. And this is the greatest strength of the Disruptor. If you try to disengage, you're always going to be taking an additional casualty just because he's going to glimpse you back. Much like if you try to break and run against an axe, you can potentially lose your entire team just because you can keep dunking people down. So in a fight, if you try to disengage, you always want to try to make sure you kill the Disruptor just so that you don't eat that additional casualty. Since Disruptor's biggest weakness, of course, is in the laning stage, it's a try-on-try environment. He doesn't actually offer you all too much compared to a lot of other supports. Since he needs a lot of levels, he doesn't provide much control until he picks up level 2, where he's going to pick up that kinetic field. Unless he goes kinetic field at 1, in which case he doesn't have any damage. But because he's been against the Wind Ranger, because he's got a fantastic success rate against the Wind Ranger, since Wind Ranger, much like the Void, relies on having one escape mech, which is completely nullified by the Glimpse. Faces Void's also another reason. This is why Disrupt decided to see a bit more competitive action. If you had visions, if you place an aggressive board, stay there, and Void Time walks back out, you simply glimpse him back in. Jelly Sickle takes 2 deaths in quick succession, so really slowing down this farm. Snaggle's got his own battle fury. While that happened, Theorite looks like they are able to clean up Fleep, so Fleep can be the receiving end of a lot of these ganks, a lot of these rotations. Alistair Cookie, holding on to his gold for now, most likely going to be going for the Blade Mail that tends to be the conventional build for the Clockwork. Could also be going for something freaky, like the Force Staff to lock the Spectre in place. While Jelly Sickle in place is the build that I believe Bulbu really popularized. The advantage of this build is the fact that if they've got an incredibly powerful melee core, such as a hero like Sven, who hits incredibly hard but has very low mobility, you hook shot and cold Force Stuff yourself out, they're locked in place, and that means that it acts as a form of soft CC with one of the rest of the teams. Fleet going to be defending this tier 1 on his own against Mule, who unfortunately doesn't have a point in focus fire. So actually very interesting to note, he went for an additional point in Wind Run just to give himself a little bit more survivability. The drawback of course, it does slow down your Shackle Shot as well as your focus fire. This is what I mean by Wind Ranger being a very greedy off-lane hero. She needs a lot of levels to be effective. She doesn't really hit her peak until level 9, we've got maxed out Shackle Shot, as well as a maxed out Power Shot. So of course you always have to assume 1 point in the Wind Run. And so it means that she's not going to hit her peak until much later on games, to give her another 3-4 minutes, unless of course she's able to find a few kills. Another one, looks like it just was a casual Ring of Health. So he's just going to be going for that Radiance Rush, has maxed out that Desolate, going for a few more points in the social. Like I said, a hook shot being used in Jelly Sickle. Torn to pieces with the hook shot, as well as I never play Earth Spirit laying on him, so the Butcher Pudge having a huge amount of impact this game. And if the game does go late, gonna have to favour the Radiant side, just because the Ember Spirit will eventually hit a point of critical mass, where one Sleight of Fist will pretty much chunk Team Trident, will pretty much one-shot the Skywrath Mage. And the only effective counter they have to the Ember Spirit is Skywrath, and of course, if Skywrath is going to get one-shot by one Slate, by the time you get to distance, to be able to use that Ancient Seal, it's going to be too late. And of course the fact that Witch Doctor and Disruptor, they scale very nicely. Venge, she scales in the sense that she's got very efficient stack growth, and the Vengeance Aura is always going to be relevant with the Skywrath. Because they've got such a beefy support, he usually does scale quite nicely just because he always outputs such a massive amount of damage, but he's so fragile that in this case could actually work against him, especially since Skywrath's biggest nerf. In 8.3s, I believe his agility was nerfed by 5, so the impact, the ramification of that is it means he's got 1 armor. So he starts with 0 armor, he's going to stay at 0 armor until about level 7, I believe, is when he finally gets his first point armor. So it means he's incredibly fragile. So traditional counters to the Skywrath Mage used to include Bristleback, just because these are also heroes that countered the Wisp. Because in an off-lane v Trident situation, if every time you engage against the Bristleback, you're going to be eating all those quills, it means that he can actually stand his ground, kill the Skywrath Mage, and even if he dies, because you're getting a 1-for-1 exchange, works out in his favor. We do have another pause coming up from the boys in Trident Esports, as the Radiant side having a little bit of cheeky fantasy. And have a quick look in terms of the net worth disparity. So 2,000 net worth lead going to the hands of the Radiant side. While in terms of experience, looks like about 4,500. So Radiant side, off to a fantastic start. Never play Earth Spirit, really exerting his pressure across the map. If we have a look into the total net worth, the fact that Snaggle got 2 kills very early on has really accelerated his farm, meant that he could go for full-on Greed, not bother to go for the Drums of Endurance, which is the conventional intermediary pickup for the Ember Spirit, just to give yourself a lot more stats to work with. Since Ember does burn through a huge chunk of his mana pool, especially if you're playing very active early on. Notice that he's only opted for 1 point the Fire Remnant, and so this is a build a lot of competitive players tend to do. Just because the Fire Remnant, they're more for relocation than anything else. The only thing that goes up, I believe the damage goes up by about 50. Not really worthwhile when you consider how much damage your other spells do. And so you usually do prioritize your other abilities with just 1 point of remnant, just to give yourself that mobility. It's one of the things that a lot of pro players tend to do, unless of course you like your mid-position Ember, you tend to be very aggressive with your Fire Remnant, so dropping 3 at once in order to secure kills. In that case, then it could be justified you choosing to go for the second point in the Remnant. Otherwise, you usually want to max out your abilities ASAP, especially with the slight nerf to the Serum Chains, and now you need 4 points to get 3-second lockdown, whereas before you only needed 3 points. Snaggle should be the finest tower, there's nothing. Blink Dagger now in life and then play Earthspray. Gets a hook over and Jelly Sickle. And Jelly Sickle torn to pieces once again. So the attacker build, of course, the weakness is it doesn't let you fight immediately. Just because he's got no reliable way to set up his Ghost Boat, no reliable way to set up his Torrent. I suppose in theory he can with the X marks, but the 350 range isn't really going to be helping him there. So what it helps you do is it helps you split push, it helps you farm, and once you farm your next big item, which is usually the Blink Dagger, Or if you want to go all in, the Daedalus, that's when you can really start fighting. Whereas if you went for something like a Shadow Blade as his first item, or even just went for a Rush Crit build, gives him a bit more team fight capacity, because you tend to go for drums in that case. So because he just has that naked Battle Fury at the base, could be a little bit too greedy in Trident Esports. Of course, the nice thing about the Wind Ranger, especially the buff, is she could defend towers like nobody else. As long as she has some sort of mana sustain, so something like a Soul Ring. Wind Ranger usually don't want to go for Arcane Boots, especially with the buff to Focus Fire, since Focus Fire is achieved by a significant buff in 8-3, just due to the fact that the max attack speed used to be 500, now it's 600. So Wind Ranger's Focus Fire now does an absurd amount of damage, especially if you're able to pick up the Admin Scepter, because it no longer applies that negative damage Malice, especially since that Malice also affects proc items. So for instance, if you get a Maelstrom, and it procs, it's only dealing about 55% of its actual damage. Then play Earthspirit gets a pocket over Fear Rider, so this is aggressive ward from the Radiant side. Paying out dividends, that's instantly going to be pinged out. They know there's a ward there, but the question is, how do you de-ward it? When you know that Pudge can instantly blink in, going for that hook. Now have a 20-minute Radiance coming online. That's all Banana Mod, so he's off to a bit of a force start. No phase, no kill. Split pushing on his own, going to be back himself away. Snaggle, rejoining the fray. The biggest advantage of the Ember is much like a Morphling. You can constantly fight with your team. You drop a Remnant, or in Morphling's case, you keep a Replicate with your team. It means that you can be very efficient with your TP scroll. Also means it's very efficient for buybacks. Because if you've got Booted Travels, or if you have a Teleport scroll that's available not on cooldown, and you have to die, you buy back, you drop a Remnant, you're instantly able to re-engage a fight, much like how Weaver, very powerful carry hero that used to be seeing quite a large amount of competitive action, due to the fact that he was very efficient with his buybacks. Since if his time lapse wasn't used, you could buy back and time lapse back into a fight, regardless of how much time had passed. Mule looks like he's going to be going for the Maelstrom build. So the weakness, of course, of this build is his team. They need some kind of utility at the moment. They don't need another form of damage. They just actually need a way to be able to reposition himself, especially with the cogs coming in from the Clockwork Goblin. It looks like Fear Rider, he's going to be the one going for the 4-star ASAP. Every time you're playing against a hero like a Clockwork or like a hero like a Lifestealer, your supports have to pick up the 4-star as soon as possible. The earlier they pick it up, the better things go for your team. Just because it ensures that he's not going to get a kill for free every single time he cogs somebody in. Never play Earthspirit, making good use of his mobility as well as his vision, so he's keeping himself right there in the high ground. So it means that if anybody tries to check for, say, they decide to go for a D-ward, then we go for a hook, also means that he has visions at the same time without them having visions in. He does completely whip those. Mule, quick reflexes, hook shot from Alistair, but he also whips as well. They do catch, no phase, no kill. Never play Earthspirit, hooks out his buddy. Mystic Flare's being used though, but now here comes the Haunt from the Spectre. He's able to end the spree. He's off to a great start. Should be able to bring down Never Finding every time as well. Death Ward's not going to be able to do too much there. Does bring down Fear Rider. And it looks like that's going to be it for the fight. Jelly Sickle shows a little bit too late for the party. Not going to be able to do much to intervene. They do trade 3 for 2, but they only lose the Wind Ranger as the core. Spectre's able to pick up 2 kills. Jelly Sickle now got to be very careful. He can actually choose to send this round against but Snaggle's already there. Snaggle, massive amount of damage. He was able to discount the torrent.
Is all alone in the world.
The Ghost Poet.
Being attacked.
Looks like Snaggle's going all in for DPS, so he has picked up that crit stick. Once that Daedalus comes online, he's going to reach the point where once the Fist will pretty much chunk the Skywrath Mage and drop him to about 50% HP. So that means if Skywrath wants to have any kind of relevancy in the fight, he's going to dance around the Ember, and since Ember's got that max life, Fist, it's very difficult to do so. Benadamon, going in for that Diffusal Blade, another buff to Spectre, and 8-3 is the fact that the Diffusal Blade no longer acts as a unique attack modifier, so it means Spectre could even choose to go for something like a Desolator, which is an item traditionally has been quite restricted to him. Just because Spectre usually wants to go for Diffusal Blade as his unique attack modifier. Just because Diffusal Blade is actually one of the most cost-efficient damage items if you're an agility hero. Because you're getting you get 30 agility from the item itself, then you also get the 25 feedback damage. So it does stack up quite heavily compared to a lot of other items of equal cost. Alistair Cookie, going to be going for that Agnum Scepter to just give himself a bit more utility. So the 2 early game cores, the Radiant side with the Clockwork as well as the Pudge, exerting a massive amount of influence against Trident Esports, but they've got about 10 more minutes before they start to taper off. So if Trident Esports are able to continue to trade evenly or roughly evenly in these fights without losing any objectives, they could start to turn things around. Just because while Snaggle is incredibly fun as far as late game is concerned, Trident Esports, the way they've been playing, the way that they've drafted is geared towards the later stages of the game. Especially once those 4 stars come online. We do have the Maelstrom and the Wind Ranger. would have actually preferred to see maybe something to force stuff to give himself a bit more mobility, but Fear Rider, he's picked up his own. Got a smoke rotation now coming in, and Fear Rider, the captain, does dodge that Hulk. Mule comes in with a shackle shot, his catch up too. Fleet as well as out the front fighting every count. Rally is being used, as well as the Horde. Bananamon finds one snaggle, corner of ad situation now forced to Remnant out. Fleet could be the sacrificial lamb. Swap coming in from phase, no kill, but he does take a death, and Bananamon, that death wall doing so much work, the Hulk shot from across the map, but the X-Mount pulls him back, and Mule, as well as Jellysickle, the only two survivors. Jellysickle now coming in. Ghost Boy should land on Fleet. And he does bring him down, ending that spree. So finds himself a good chunk of gold. Fleet, that being said, incredibly close to the item set, about 500 off. Snaggle still has remnants available, so he's just going to wait up the X marks. So tries to destroy the torrent. Good play coming up from him. Stands his ground, but Jellysickle knows that the biggest weakness, of course, is the Ember. He's absolute paper. He stands his ground with that Daedalus, and with that Slay the Fist crit. Now we've got a bad man of pause coming in from Snaggle. So both these teams having a little bit of fun. 25-minute Battle Fury Daedalus on the Ember Spirit. He's reached the point of critical mass where the enemy team will now have to be wary of being one or two shot by the Ember. And so even though he's incredibly fragile, because Ember as a hero is designed to fight at the periphery of the fight, and he's never going to be the one actually throwing out right clicks, and hanging on the very edge of the fight, spamming up Slay the Fist. Very difficult for the enemy team to deal with you in that case, especially as you've got two very beefy frontline cores with a Pudge, as well as the Clockwork, who are going to physically force you to prioritize them by jumping on top of you and beating down your supports. Looks like a never play Outspurt, and the Shiva's guard could look to go for a hook over on Fear Rider. Fear Rider locked in place. His member's been used, he should be taking a death. While that happens, Elsa Cookie for another. So both the supports and Trident Esports having a difficult time. Elsa Cookie could be taking a death though, Mule. Should be then short his kill. He's got power shot to finish him off if he does break line of sight. So Maelstrom, although that being said, just get hooked to place by Never Play Earthspirit. Bananamon now jumping into the avenge his fallen comrade. And Never Play Earthspirit and defeat it fair and gold to Bananamon. So the Pate Faux Gras strategy, where you feed one person and then you kill them for that free gold, not going to be working out too well. I mean, of course, the nice thing is the fact that because they're so far ahead, they're getting a massive amount of experience. But you never really want to account for the enemy team being that far ahead of you. The next fight, if Trident Esports ever are able to wipe out the boys on the Radiant side, they will actually put themselves in a very good position. This is one of the nice things in the 8-2 patch. The team is ahead, and they get wiped by the team that's behind because they're so far ahead, and because the spree gold as well as the experience is calculated off the disparity in net worth. The team that's behind can actually push themselves very far ahead and actually recover quite nicely, especially when they start knocking down these tier 2s. Since in terms of map control, both teams are reasonably even. They've only lost one more tier 2 on the Dire side in terms of aggressive ward coverage. Actually, just sentries at the moment. So Dire side being fairly vigilant, very unconventional ward being put there by the Dire side. Just because this provides you a good vision of who's rotating through the jungle, without at the same time making it painfully obvious. So then it's a defensive ward, so it looks like this is going to be the aggressive ward coming in from the Radiant side. Just secures their flank to make sure that when they're trying to push the tier 2, they don't have to worry about somebody jumping in from there. Means I never play Earthspirit to be a little bit more ballsy. Looks like he's going to be doing so. Jellysickle. Blink Dagger now available, so the attacker build is real. Going to be going for a Daedalus of his own. The nice thing about it, of course, is it does give you dramatic amount of team fight damage. Fear Rider hooked in once again. Shackle Shot does land on the play Earthspirit. So he's incredibly beefy. Hook Shot comes up from Elsa, catching up Mule. Mule's going to be a priority target. The static swamp being used. Death Ward not going to be dropped by Fleet as he's unfortunately unable to get it. Suicide coming in from Pudge, and Elsa Cookie going to get purged to the ground. Power Shot brings him down. Another monk could be taking a death. Does have buyback available. Can actually buy back in. Doesn't have the Halt of the Reality, however. Jellysickle stands his ground for now, throwing out two cheeky right clicks. He does have the X-Mount to use defensively. Still has that Blink Dagger, but doesn't want to go and snaggle. He knows what happened last time, so not to chance it. And looks like out the front fighting every cut, taking the tier 2 in the meanwhile. The mech up on the Disruptor, incredibly farm. Jellysickle, this is what I'm talking about with the attacker build. The slow siege, they can't do anything to him. He can actually pull himself out now and not even risk losing mana, but the glimpse is there. That's something he didn't anticipate. Great recognition coming out from the Disruptor. He Thunderstrike them to provide him vision, because he knew that that's what he was going to do. Once he zipped back, because Glimpse is such a massive range, I believe 1.8k, so once he jumped back, was able to pull him back. So really good recognition coming out from out the front, ensuring that kill, and as well as hard countering that attacker build. Otherwise, it enabled him to continue to push up the creep wave without any real consequence. It looks like Snaggle's going to be stacking Daedaluses, so that ensures he's able to get more damage off. You usually see Desolator as the next big pickup for the Ember Spirit, just because Desolator is the most cost-efficient form of damage in the game, assuming you don't have another attack modifier. But that being said, stacking Daedaluses, because you have that Battle Fury, will increase your overall teamfight damage, just because you do have cleave damage coming in from the Battle Fury itself. And so stacking Battle Furies is also mathematically a very cost-efficient way to increase DPS. But in terms of single target damage, looks like Snaggle actually whipped his Slate of Fist there in chain combo. Remnants out to safety. Concussive shot's gonna be disjointed. Projectile. Oh, never mind. It did actually hit him. I thought you could destroy that now. No, just gonna farm the Ancients while that's happening. And we now have Disruptor going towards that Aghanim Scepter. That could be a huge pickup, especially to shut down the 4 stars coming in from the boys from Trident Esports. Items haven't really progressed since that Diffusal Blade. Got a very ballsy Disruptor coming in. The rest of his team isn't really in position, but Diamond can actually choose to go for a kill attempt, and that looks like it's going to be what's happening. Out the front, fighting every cut, forgetting that he's actually a support and not a core. While that's happening, the Mule being saved by no phase, no kill. Spectre now haunting, as well as Reality in to bring down Fleet. Fleet though, standing his ground with that Death Wall doing huge amounts of work. Jellysickle comes up from the rear, and Snaggle, last man standing, looks like Alistair Cookie had already bailed. Might be the final kill with that X-Marks. Mystic Flare's been used, they finally do bring down the Ember Spirit. We now have a Badman and Pause coming in from Trident. Looks like Alistair Cookie, the only one able to safely disengage. So both teams having a bit of fun, but with that wipe, well, 4-man wipe, 7.8k experience going to their hands, as well as a 2.4k gold swing, about 2.5k gold swing. So Trident Esports putting themselves in a much more comfortable position. This is how teams like C9 are able to get away with their greed. They know that if they lose the laning stage, but the support's able to find a lot of farm, they know that if they're able to win one successful fight, they can turn it around. So Trident Esports, that being said, the pressure is on them. If it goes to the ultra late game, Ember Spirit will outcarry, or should actually be able to outcarry Trident. He's got that potential 1 slate, 1 kill on the enemy team. Spectre can then fight the Ember, that being said. And Spectre works very well against Ember because he can Reality directly on top of him and force him to waste his time remnanting out. So actually, I suppose it could be quite even. Spectre does do very well against the Ember, but Ember does very well against the entire team of Trident. So it all depends, of course, on if they're able to lock down the Ember. So the sole purpose of Alistair Cookie and Punch, now that they're starting to move past their prime, is to be able to provide that space, to be able to ensure that they're forced to deal with them, because they're going to be jumping on your supports and picking off your backline, that you're not going to be dealing with the Ember Spirit in the backline. Spinning around, slating everybody to the ground. Another one will be interesting to see what he chooses to go for next. Manta Style tends to be the traditional pickup for the Spectre if you're playing aggressively, because of course the Manta Illusions do inherit Desolate proc, so you get an absurd amount of damage coming in from them, from all 3 of them. Proc Desolate, so assuming that of course there's no one else around. So you do get quite a dramatic increase in DPS, much like the Anti-Mage going for Manta with the feedback, or the Mana Break. Of course the other build, which he might be going for in this case just because his team is reasonably behind, is the Heart of Terras build. So if you fight more, it means that you can shrug off the Death Ward and just go ham against enemy supports. No phase, no kill. Unfortunately, it looks like he's going to be taking a death there. As I never play Earth Spirit, point blank hook. Slate of Fist takes out about 40% of his life. And 1 more right click. Power Shot from Mule confirms that the majority of the Radiant team are grouped up. Jellysickle looks like he's got the Daedalus flying out to him, so he's in a very good position. Attacker build finally is online for him. Of course, if you could get picked off again by the Radiant side, the attacker build means nothing. Aggressive wall place for the Radiant side, spawning it out. Looks like Jellysickle choking on his run. Punch having a massive amount of impact. Very interesting he went for the Blade Mail. Would have thought he'd go for the Shiva's Guard. Looks like it's just a casual Plate Mail for now. Probably will be looking to upgrade to the Shiva's Guard later on. But of course, Blade Mail, very effective pickup on Punch, because you've got so much uncontrolled AoE damage coming in from Trident's lineup. This is one of the weaknesses of having a hero like the Kunkka, is because he's going to be out dispersing such a massive amount of AoE damage. One of the ways to counteract uncontrolled AoE, if you can't go for something like a BKB, is to go for Blade Mail on tanky heroes. Since Kunkka a lot more fragile than the Pudge, especially since Pudge has such a massive amount of flesh heap stacks on him. I suppose one of the weaknesses of the Radiant's lineup is they do have a fair amount of difficulties in actually breaching high ground. You've got Pudge and the Clockwork that can create that opening, but if they're not able to get a hook on, they can't exactly have the Ember Spirit at the front line smacking the tower, so they actually lack that damage to hit the tower itself. What they're dependent upon is starting the high ground siege on favourable terms by being able to pull somebody out of position. However, if that fails, although that being said, it might be working out as fair right there. Gets blink hooked in once again, torn to pieces.
So this is the only reliable way that the Radiant side can try to breach high ground. Otherwise, usually teams might have a very durable core hero, like a Viper or a Bristleback, that could be up front smacking the tower and slow sieging while the rest of this team wait behind them, wait for the enemy team to react. In this case, they have to rely on being to get that pick off. So they need to place wards there, although this is where the Clockwork and Punch had that synergy, because you've got the Rocket Flare to be able to provide vision. So it mitigates the biggest strength of the high ground defenders, the fact that you have no idea where they are. So forced to play very cautiously. Mule, he's the only one there behind. He is going to be going for the Aghanim Scepter build, so just going for pure damage. Could bite them in the arse if they're not too careful, but while that's happening with Anamon, doing what Spectre does best, just split pushing. Just because you've got him instantly re-engage in the fight with that hold. Looks like he is going to be going for the hard to rust build with that Reaver. So just as a casual Ring of Health, interesting pickup for him, since I mean one of the reasons why the Shadows has become such a valuable pickup on the Spectre is it does everything the Ring of Health would do, while also giving him a bit more active early game. But of course the drawback is the fact that your supports aren't able to build it. Your supports is usually the only HP boosting item they can get in the early stage of the game.
The Dire's top tower is doing
Looks like Venge going to need that survivability a little bit more. So they're going to be looking to pick off that tier 2. But while that's happening, with a smoke rotation coming in from the boys from Trident, they aren't aware of the aggressive wards in place. This one, of course, prevents them from making use of their own jungle. And they're going to be forced to try to defend at high ground. Rocket Flare's going to be spammed out to push out these lanes. And never play Earth Spirit, just constantly blinking and spamming out their hooks. And Blink Dagger giving himself that psychological advantage of being able to fake out the opponent. They don't know where exactly it's going to be coming from. So even if you have Vision of Pudge, which is traditionally the best way to counteract Pudge, because he can instantly blink to another area and then throw out that hook, it makes it a lot more difficult for you to anticipate where he's hooking. So it means that you pretty much just have to give 1,000 unit distance wide berth from any potential hook avenue. So it means you're going to be playing way back around there. Of course, because you have that power shotting Wind Ranger, as well as the Blink X marks Kunkka, can be quite viable. Although Kunkka is going to be very wary of doing that again, especially with the Disruptive. Seeing the blinks back, it looks like that could be a potential avenue of approach. Jelly Sickle, swap back out. When outfighting every card, could be taking a death hit. Torrent's being used, Horn's being used as well. Earth Spirit locked down Banana Mole with that Smender. Rallies to another region. Forced to rally back into that death wall. It's a little bit of miscommunication. Snaggle keeps himself alive for now, but the Arcane Bolt should be enough. And they do successfully hold on to that high ground. Jelly Sickle, he dies, but with his last breath, he stabs at the Alistair Cookie. Might be the disengage. The Howl is there. But tries to hook shot down to safety, and the other Shadows, Blade Mail Reflection, actually brings down no phase, no kill. So no Blade Mail, no kill. Well, Fair Rider, looks like he's going to be the last man standing. That's fine too. Madame, does he actually stay alive through that, or does he buy back? Looks like buyback is ready, so he did stay alive through all of that. So good recognition coming up from him, constantly being on a reality out just to fake out the opponent. Even though he didn't eventually reality back into inside Deathward range, now has that Hana Taraski, and with that swing, the boys from Trident, they're climbing Mount Everest, but they should be closing down shortly. So about 2.5k experience lead. Now going to the hands of the Radiant side, so very marginal lead when you consider their early game centric lineup with their 2 cores. And in terms of net worth, 5,000, which at this point, actually not too big of a deal. Just because you have to keep in mind that 2 of the cores on the lineup of the Radiant side, they taper off very quickly compared to the cores on the Dire side. Kunkka, because he's always going to have that AoE damage impact. You've got the Spectre is always going to be a relevant threat. You've got Wind Ranger that went for his carry build with the Aghanim Scepter, so she's always going to deal a respectable amount of damage. Whereas the Radiant side, they've got fantastic initiation to pick off, but the only real form of damage is going to be the Ember Spirit as well as the Witch Doctor, the Aghanim Scepter. So you've got 2 forms of damage against 3. If the Ember gets big enough, he can pretty much win this on his own just by slating down the supports instantly. It looks like he's very in issue that actually have reached that point by now with the double Daedalus. So it will be interesting to see what enemy chooses to go for next. Could even choose to go for something like an Aya Skadi if he wants to hedge its bets, provide himself a bit more utility. Usually the Ember Spirit you want to only go for damage or you want to go for utility. So Skadi or for the Daedalus route. You can go for both if you feel like you need more stats because you're going to be acting in the front line a bit more. But in this case he really is the only form of damage. So Snaggle might look to go for something like a Desolator now. Further amplifies damage output. MKB could be a potential option. But of course MKB doesn't really provide the Ember Spirit too much benefit just because you're not going to be getting a lot of attacks in, you're just going to be getting one huge hit in. So you could even contemplate something like a Divine Rapier if he really wants to go maximum YOLO. Jelly Sickle as well. Kunkka and Ember, both very viable Divine Rapier carriers due to the sheer amount of AoE damage they could output. We have a Roshan Tam coming for Radiant side, so it's one way to ensure you get Roshan. And I never play Earth Spirit. He's going to be the one scouting out in the Vanguard, making sure the enemy team can't get in there. It looks like he's going to go for the Assault Karas. That helps mitigate the Radiant side's biggest weakness, which is their ability to actually deal with the tower itself. Because their only form of damage, as far as towers are concerned, he doesn't want to be anywhere near the tower in case he gets jumped. Now with the edges, he might be a little bit more confident in acting up in the front line. We do have a smoke rotation now coming in from the boys in Trident, using Venanamon as bait. Smoker's going to break though. No phase, no kill. He spots out and never play Earth Spirit, swaps him back in. Shackle Shot's going to fly as well. So Torrent Shackle Shot doesn't land, but doesn't show the Torrent does. The Focus Fire is coming in from Mule. That should be enough to be able to bring him down. Death Ward being whiffed as Fleet. A little bit ambitious though. It's going to be spotted out. Fair Rider using the Ghost Scepter to ensure he could get close to the Death Ward. Torrent's being used with the X-Marks and Jelly Sickle. Pretty off the Ancient. And we'll find that kill. Snaggle going in against no phase, no kill. He does have the ability to do more than online. Doesn't want to waste it. The Mystic Flash will bring him down. They might not be able to kill him twice. Jelly Sickle going in for the Torrent. Unfortunately, a little bit too early and they disengage. So they found 2.5 kills. Wallet Tabney out in front, finding every cunt, purge to the ground, and Mule throws out a cheeky last right click. Alistair Cookie, fleeing for his life, hiding the tree line for now, anticipating the power shot coming in from Mule. Snaggle's going to be juking it out, throws in that hook shot and throws his body in the line just to make sure Snaggle can try to escape. But Jelly Sickle, he's got his number. With the X-Marks as well as Torrent Snaggle, you can run, my friend, but you can't hide. It looks like Trident Esports are doing it. They realize that their strength comes in the 40-minute mark when the enemy 2 calls. The pod just was clockwork. That's when they set the taper off. So they built entirely for the late game. They realized that while the Ember Spirit, in theory, is going to be a superior late game carry in terms of overall teamfight damage. If it's just one carry against 3, not really going to be working out too well, especially since the clockwork and the pudge. They've hit the long past their prime. 35-minute mark to set the taper off because now you're dealing with 4 stars, now you're dealing with Ghost Scepters. It becomes a lot more difficult for you to be able to get these individual kills, which you're surprised on. He'll play Earth Spirit as well. Even if he does get the hook in, the rest of the team can now follow through just because Venanamon, they don't have enough damage to be able to kill him unless if they're able to, I suppose, hook this member into the Death Ward Maledict will just barely be enough to kill him, assuming that no one breaks this member. But when you've got the Coco Rock debuff going in against the enemy team as well as on your team, the fact that 50% of your damage is actually going to be completely mitigated until the back. Jelly Sickle, X-Marksing his teammate to ensure he gets that value room. Now has a Gem and True Side, so he's going to be using that to start exerting a bit more map control. And he's going to be stacking Daedalus as well. So both the Kunkka and the Ember, functionally playing a similar sort of style. Of course, the Kunkka's biggest strength is he provides more utility than the Ember who just provides straight damage. Because the fact that the Coco Rum, half the damage that you receive will actually be delegated till the very end, and will be non-lethal. Pretty much means that it's you have to output twice as much damage to burst people down. Can be quite a huge change in your favour, especially when you consider the fact that in terms of sustained DPS, Trident Esports have got a lot more damage compared to the Radiant side. Just because once Death Ward wears off, you're just banking on the Ember. And Ember, he's going to be forced to get the hell away from the Spectre, he's going to be jumping in every fight. From Jelly Sickle, with an X-Marks him to mitigate his Fire Ember. So Trident putting himself in a good position, but the Radiant side, of course, especially with the Assault Karas coming online soon for Pudge, they do have the ability to just barrel down through a lane. Especially if they're able to get a pick off, no phase, no kill, especially if he's constantly caught in a position like that. Hookshot comes up from Alistair Cookie on Fair Rider. I never played Earth Spirit, actually holding onto his hook. Now finally throws Cookie, whiffs, he got faked out. Ghost Bullet lands on Alistair Cookie, this never finally be used, but Alistair Cookie being slammed down by Mule. Out the front, finding every cunt fleeing for his life, fleeing the Ancient Seal, preventing him from being able to make good use of that Death Wall, even if he throws it out now, looking to use it for long. No phase, no kill, still alive, faking out that hook, finally gets hooked in. Venanamon though finds 2, and then play Earth Spirit, leaking himself to safety for now. Well, it looks like Mule, as well as Jelly Sickle, they find another one. So Fleet, no Death Ward, no mercy. And Venanamon going for that Butterfly, going to mean a huge amount of survivability against the Ember, since Ember's primary damage source is that Sleight of Fist. The fact that you can now evade his hits makes it damn near impossible for him to kill the Spectre, as well as the fact that, of course, the illusions, they do inherent agility.
Really do something about that middle tower.
So your illusion's going to be hitting a lot harder as well.
Radiant's middle tower
What comes in from then play Earth Spirit?
Radiant's middle tower has
Jelly Sickle just dancing around. Just get caught with the Sleight of Fist. And could be taking a death there, Snaggle. Well, that one crit, he's got Spider Fist coming online, so he knows he's got the
Radiant's
skill.
middle tower is
And that's, of course, he gets Ancient Seal and shackled to a tree. Ghost Mode now flies through. Snaggle should be taking a death. And with that, he doesn't have buyback. This could be the window Trident Esports are waiting for. Bananamon finally cuts him down. Pudge is the only one that has buyback available. Disruptor is going to be back alive in 2 seconds anyway. Trident Esports, they're actually backing off. They don't want to risk it. Especially because they know that if the game does go late, while the Ember's the better carry, against 3 other carries, there's only so much you can do. So the tri-core lineup and Trident Esports really coming into effect now. Mule, with those 1 fights, is actually surprisingly fun. 4.4k is sitting on him, so he can look to go for the MKB and go full on to the damage round. Of course, the drawback is the MKB and the Maelstrom. If they both proc at the same time, Maelstrom will override. But it's a fairly negligible chance when you've got Focus Fire and 600 attack speed. It does happen more often than you'd like. Could also opt to go for a Sheep Stick to provide that additional lockdown. Since Ember Spirit, Snaggle nowhere near a BKB. And Ember, of course, usually never want to go for a BKB unless you're forced to. There's one item slot that you could be spent using on a damage item. Of course, your hero is the glassiest glass cannon there is, aside from maybe Shadow Fiend. Alistair Cookie has picked up the Aghanim Scepter since then, has been trailing far behind in terms of net worth. Both the Pudge and the Clockwork, despite having such a fantastic start, now being dramatically out-farmed. So if you have a look in terms of golden experience difference, 15,000 experience that go into the hands of Trident, all starting from that one fight.
Radiant's
That
bottom
34-minute
tower
mark.
is under attack.
In terms of net worth now, 10,000 gold lead. So the Ember Spirit, Snaggle, he better be doing some squats because he's going to be carrying the rest of his team through this. He cannot afford to get caught out in any of these engagements. The rest of his team have to play around him to make sure that he doesn't get jumped on, so he can be able to continually apply this damage in the backline. But that becomes a lot more difficult when you're dealing with the Spectre. And when you're dealing with the fact that your team actually has actually no counter initiation capacity, you've only got initiation capacity. Whereas Trident, they can counter initiate. If you don't jump the Conquer, he could Ghost Boat in. If you don't jump the Spectre, she could Reality in. So Trident Esports, a bit more flexibility because they strategically geared themselves up for the late game and didn't lose Stetter X. Their greed's really starting to pay out for them. Aghanim Scepter now coming online for Disruptor could be quite a powerful pickup. Just the fact that you can disable the 4 stars from Fair Rider to prevent him from being able to bail out the rest of his team if you jump in. But it could be a case of too little too late, just because we hold Disruptor's biggest weakness is he provides a lot of control, doesn't really provide too much damage, and if your team can't capitalize on the control, then it's not really going to be too worthwhile. They have to babysit Snaggle, he cannot afford to get picked off. Has to save a buyback as well, so it means he's going to spend a lot more time farming before he gets his next big item. And at this point, I suppose the only thing to really go for is more damage. You can't really bank on something like Sky to help him just because he's going to get out man-fight. But 3 cores in the enemy team. Jelly Sickle, Glimpse not available this time just because they didn't have any vision. And then play Earth Spirit, playing very ballsy, wasn't going for that fishing hook. Wasn't able to land it free. Dropping that ward down. They do have the gem still available on the beside the Trident. As it looks like Fair Rider, he's the one carrying that. Mule looks like he is going to be going for the Sheep Stick, does have that now online. Sheep Stick, of course, has the added benefit of disabling things like X. Jelly Sickle actually locked in place in the Static Storm with the X mark, pulls him back out. Ward not providing enough vision, so he's learned his mistake. He's constantly pushing himself out past the glimpse range. He knows that he can't afford to get picked off. So the attacker build ensures he can constantly push out the creep wave, so provide you a lot of strategic control by forcing the enemy team to have to constantly defend. Of course, Ember Spirit, he's probably one of the better heroes for this because you can just drop a Remnant and TP back home. Bananamon, stacked as all hell, probably going to be looking to go for the men style now. We can even just continue to keep hoarding his gold. Of course, the biggest weakness of Spectre is individually, Spectre doesn't do much one-on-one damage, just because the majority of the damage is coming in from the Desolate as well as the Haunt with the Radiance. But the fact that you can kill every member of the team at roughly the same time and jump the supports is what makes Spectre very powerful. So very similar philosophy to the Ember Spirit. Not too great on 1v1 in man fights, but very powerful dealing with the entire team at once. Of course, the difference is the fact that Spectre builds incredibly tanky and is incredibly tanky, while Ember just relies on positioning himself alive. He's never been used to locking on him in place. Hookshot now coming as well as Death Ward. They're throwing everything they have as well as the pop panel with them. Dispersion damage shows that never play Earth's actually going to die to that. Alistair Cook locked in place with the Ghost Boat. Looks like we've got Mule going to town with that Aghanim Scepter upgrade. With the Focus Fire, Snaggle takes the dash. They lose 2 for 4. Mule still on the hunt, out the front, fighting every cunt. It's going to be the only one to stay alive. Power Shot flies through. They do have buyback on the Ember. You're going to have to buyback to try to defend this. Jelly Sickle. Oof, very close to death. So the malediction as well as the Cocoa Rub, only thing keeping him alive. He actually X-marks and then TP's back home. So much like the Ember Spirit with the Remnant. Kill could do something similar, not as effective obviously just because you only have a set amount of seconds that you can regen. No phase, no kill. Dropping an Observer in a very unconventional spot. You usually want to place observers in the high ground, so that way you know what's happening around there. But of course the enemy team tends to be prepared for this. No buyback coming in from Snaggle. There we go, now there's buyback. And Trident, they're going to back off. They just want to bait out the buyback to further shut down the Ember. No phase, no kill. He's going to be a sacrificial lamb. Actually goes in for the swap, keep himself alive for now. The Snaggle should be able to cut him down. So with that kill, he at least refunds a portion of that buyback, but it's the fact that he's now got a 7-minute cooldown to work around. Trident Esports, they can play passive, they know that they've got the game in the bag. Especially the later it goes, just because the fact that Snaggle had to waste so much of his gold, all that buyback, he's not going to have it as well. It means that they're going to have that one item advantage, especially if they have a look at net worth, and Anamon as well as Jellysickle. Because they've been spending so much amount of time farming, or Snaggle's been forced to fight the rest of the team, they have been picking up substantial amount of gold. Mule will be interesting to see what he goes for next. Blink Dagger could be quite a powerful pickup. You'll let him instantly jump on Embers, of course the biggest threat. But the Hex, in fact, 0 cost point. Snaggle pulled out the Ancient Seal. Shackle Shot not going to land, not going to be needed though. Sheepstick is now there. Mule, Stag's not going to be used, but now keeps himself alive. He knows that if he dies, it's not too big of a deal. He's got the Agency and more. Jellysickle coming in the back. Brings down the Disruptor. Deathward being used, going to force back Fear Rider. He might be taking a death there. Banana one cleans up Fleet. Alistair Cookie looking for his life as well. Snaggle locked in place. He cannot afford to die. He is the single most important hero in the game at the moment. Does take that death. Jellysickle, he doesn't really care if he dies. Banana one's still alive. Mule's still alive. Buyback coming in. Trident, they're going all out for this. They know this is their window to end the game. Never play Earth Spirit. Go into the ground. And with that fight, Trident, they should be able to have this game in the bag. One to the ranks go into their hands. They've got 100 seconds to work with. Fear Rider heals himself off for no apparent reason, just some casual Yule sceptering. We've got some more trash talk coming in from Mule. He does have that focus fire available. This is another strength of the one running in the late game. In fact, he's got exceptional pushing capacity. Punch buys back, but there's only so much he could do.
Radiant's middle barracks have fallen, and I don't mean on hard times.
And we've got some Mantle coming.
So
So somebody called PJ Salt. We've got Swap coming in. I'm going to play Earthbreak. That's trying to kill him, right? Of course, throws his own life away. Jellysickle leading a charge against the towers. It might actually look to go for 2 sets of racks. Always going to be a safer bet instead of just going for tier 4s, unless of course you know that's the only chance you have to win. You have to go for that Hail Mary play. You're going to have focus fire available. So you should be able to clean up 2 sets. I can actually even go for Megas. The only hero that we're worried about is Snaggle on the Ember Spirit. And he's going to be dead for another 40 seconds. There should be enough time for him to actually go for Megas. Especially since the only hero that can initiate is going to be Clockwork, and Elsa Cookie's going to instantly kill himself if he does. Especially with Jellysickle and no phase, no kill, waiting in the wing. Another one. Actually just cutting off the fountains. They're coming in from behind. Elsa Cookie hook shots him with Jellysickle. Really torn to pieces by that Malediction as well as the Death Ward. While that's happening up front, finding every card. Living up to his name, the front line. Dove on by the Spectre. Mule as well as Venanamon. 2 against the world. So the army of 2 going in. Mule should be the funny kill and out the front fighting every card. He's going to be very cautious though this Fleet. That being said, Fleet actually has no damage. Not turn to a pig. It's cut down. Alistair Cook has that hook shot coming online in a few seconds. Looks like the Blade Mail is going to be enough rather than Malediction. The Venanamon on his own. So carry v carry. Gonna start slow sieging Snaggle. You can spam out as many Slater Fists as you want. Looks like the first one's completely evaded, so it does nothing against him. Butterfly's a fantastic pickup to deal with them. With the Ember Spirit. Because Ember's biggest weakness is man fighting.
Radiant's bottom tower is under
And
attack.
the way to counteract him is by getting so tanky that he can't damage you with the Slate, having the evasion. It means that 1 in every 3 Slates are guaranteed to be completely useless.
Left the building.
You do, of course, eat the cleave damage.
Middle tower is under attack.
Actually, Haunting going for that kill. Venanamon getting a little bit too risky there. Fleet flying back. Could be seeing his death. He doesn't have that Haunt available. This could be quite a critical death. But that being said, the dispersion damage going to do a huge amount of work. Venanamon should be taking a death there. A little bit too cocky. But 2.5 sets of racks. Very difficult for the Radiant team to now try to recover against Trident. Just because they can always just choose to continue to split push. You've got the Boots of Travels coming online for Kunkka. You can use that to constantly jump a lane, keep the lane pushed out, let the creeps do the job. The only reliable hero they have to be to clear out these creeps is going to be Snaggle, and Snaggle going to be having his work cut off for him. If he's constantly forced, if you're the only heroes dealing reliable damage is forced to defend, then you can't really attack the enemy. So all Trident Esports have to do is wait, farm up another set of items, maybe wait for Roshan, then look to go for a kill. Looks like both teams getting a little bit salty. Some good old-fashioned snack talk, snaggle. Items haven't progressed since that second Daedalus. So for the past 10 or so minutes, his items actually 15 minutes, his items haven't really progressed. So even though he's got a significant amount of net worth, because he's had to spend so much of that on buybacks and because he's constantly getting caught out in the past few engagements, it made it difficult for him to progress his items any further. Does have that gem and true sight. Fleet actually was able to find a BKB, so they won't be able to interrupt his death ward, but at the same time they can just kill him. Although that being said, 2k HP, reasonably tanky. Alistair Cookie forced to go for the Ghost Scepter just to keep himself alive in case he jumps on Jelly Sickle or against the Spectre. This is the weakness of Clockwork. While he is very up in your face, in the first 30 minutes they can't really do much to you, but past that point they're usually going to be so tanky they can stand their ground and kill you. So much like the Pandarian Brewmaster with the Bruling Split, you eventually reach a point around the 35 to 40 minute mark where they can just stand their ground and kill your Brewlings, and you're now at risk of dying. Then play Earth Spirit, hooks a creep, so find himself a little bit more farm. No phase, no kill, blinks himself forward to get a swap in on Fleet, so very interesting time to priority. They want to make sure they can bring him down to prevent that death ward. Hookshot comes on Fair Rider, so there's a bit of throws coming in from the boys, and Trident Esports, Ghost Boat is coming in now. Never play Earth Spirit, taking a huge amount of damage. Jelly Sickle duking out against Fleet. Fleet with that death ward. And will have zoned them out for now. They do lose their last interact, though, while that was happening. Looks like Mule was the one who cleaned that one up. Looks like another one, keep himself alive. The splashing damage actually brings down Pudge. Fleet gets pulled down by that bolt. And Mule turns out to Cookie into a big. So that should be lights out for the boys on the Radiant side. Trident Esports, good recovery coming out from them. The fact that they were able to turn that fight, the 34-minute mark, from that point,
Radiant structures are
able to
fortified.
recover. So it really goes to show. Good late game recognition, good game sense coming up from the Trident. They knew that the later the game goes, they're having much better chances because Ember's a much more powerful carry. But only if he's got the farm lead over the rest of their team. We've got 3 calls against 1. We've always got that numbers advantage. It looks like that's going to be game 1 going to the hands of Trident. Could have actually just been a random pub team, I'm not 100% certain what's going on at this point. But we'll be taking a quick break and we'll be right back for game number 2. Stay tuned.